We're going to start with the continuing saga of Marcus Rashford's future, and Ruben Amorim has questioned the decision-making from the players' camp. Rashford's been left out of United's last 3 games and also gave an interview suggesting he wanted a new challenge, away from the club. Amorim calls it a difficult situation, but added he wants to support his player. Of course, it's a hard situation, but I understand these kind of players have a lot of people around them, and making some choices that sometimes is not the first idea from the players. So I understand, I can separate things. I'm always here for helping Marcus as another player, and they have to do what they have to do. I say they chose to do that interview because it's not just Marcus, and I understand that. For me as a coach, I'm just focused on the performance, the way he trains, and then the rest I think is better for me and the club. Deal with that when the time comes. So at the moment, I'm just focused on improving Marcus. We need a lot in this moment, the talented guy like Marcus. And I forget, now the interview, I just see what I see in the pitch. Ruben Amorim is speaking to the press. He said, "I'm here. I have to focus on the job. It's part of football to have these difficult moments. I already knew that it was going to be tough. Of course, you expect to win more games, to have players with more confidence, to sell the idea and to work and to improve a lot of things. In this moment, it's really hard. Like I said, we have to survive, to have time, and then to improve the team. You talked before very openly about how big clubs have to win. They don't have endless time. It's a ruthless business. We've seen that at Man United, with Dan Ashworth. We've seen it at Europa Sporting. It's at your place. Obviously, it's absurd at the moment to be talking about your future in a downsall. But are you comfortable that you have the time and the space to do the job that you do? The manager of Manchester United cannot be never, no matter what, comfortable. And I know the business that I'm in. So, I know that if we don't win, regardless if they pay the buyout or not, I know that every manager is in danger. And I like that. I like that because that is our job. So I understand the question. You can say that I'm here in a month ahead for training, but we are not winning. So I have that. That is a reality, and I'm quite comfortable with that. Because you're going to be without your captain suspended, could you have Harry Maguire as your captain? Because he's been a skipper before at the club. Would you consider having him as captain? We will have to wait until the game, and we will see. What do you think of Harry now he's come back and playing for you? Because he's had a rough couple of years. Have you been impressed? He works really well. He's focused on the job, not what people said. He has no excuses, even if he had some tough moments. So I think in that department, he's an example. So he's there to play, to help the team. He's tried to do that. You mentioned the goalkeeper. Do you think the referees need to make sure that they're protecting the players, or do you want the players to be stronger? After the defeat, I don't want to talk about that. But you can see that every corner nowadays is an opportunity. So sometimes you forget the small guys and the talented guys. You put 11 guys, 2 corners or 2 free kicks, if you can do everything inside the box. But that is the rules, and we have to not cry about it, but do the same thing. So we have to focus on doing the same thing to the opponent. So yeah, that is my goal at the moment. Do you need some bigger players? No. What I'm saying is that if set piece is becoming so important, you can do everything. So we have to learn it, and I have to do the same thing, even with the small guys. We just have to copy and do the same thing and not try to change the rules. Just use the rules to score also goals in set piece. Newcastle are up next. What kind of challenge are you expecting from them? They're siding with Bournemouth, and obviously the struggles you had against Bournemouth, you felt the atmosphere in the stadium. Yeah, we have to fight against everything because our supporters are always there, but they are tired of this moment. We have to expect that any play from Newcastle near our box is going to put the stadium nervous. Our players have to cope with that. So it's a very strong team, very fast, with a lot of pace, with a lot of time, working with the same coach. We want to be competitive and try to win the game. That's all. Last question, Andy. What do you want from the fans against Newcastle? Nothing. I'm not even there to ask anything to our fans. They gave us everything. The full stadium, always supporting, clapping after loss after loss. So I just want to give something to the fans, not asking something to the fan. But he's not there to play the game. Hello everyone, welcome back on the channel. Today, guys, many things to mention, from Jadon Sancho to Marcus Rashford, Edison Riancherki, and much more. Let's jump into it together. As always, there is always movement on the market, always many things to mention. Always many things happening. We mentioned already the new contract of Manuel Neuer of Bayern is about to be signed, so we are almost there. Also, with the final details, many movements around Europe, many movements in England, as always a crucial part of the football world, especially in Manchester, because Marcus Rashford, again today for the third consecutive game, is not even on the bench for Manchester United. It's an incredible situation. A really strong situation. It all started with Alejandro Garnacho. Then Alejandro Garnacho is back with the Manchester United squad 2 times in a row on the bench. So still a situation to resolve, still a situation to improve with Ruben Amorim, but completely different compared to Marcus Rashford, who is not even on the bench. It already happened on the Manchester derby, then in the Carabao Cup game against Tottenham, and now the third consecutive time today, Old Trafford against Bournemouth. Marcus Rashford is there to watch the game, but he's not there to play the game, to enter or to be subbed on in the second half. So the situation is quite tense because there is no injury, there is no physical issue, there is no problem on that point of view for Marcus Rashford. The problem is still the same. I told you 1 week ago, and it remains the same. Ruben Amorim goes public and says, selection, technical decision. The meaning is training sessions. For a coach arrived at Manchester United in November with a really short time to improve in the training sessions, tell the players what he wants to do, show the players what's the new system, the new tactical approach, the new mentality he wants to see. To waste the training sessions without training at the best level possible is something that Ruben Amorim, my United coach, doesn't want to accept. This is why Marcus Rashford is out of the squad again. Rashford, a few days ago in an interview, said, opening the doors to a potential exit from Manchester United, that he feels misunderstood on this lack of professionalism, and also that he feels ready for a potential new challenge. What's going on now? Between Amorim and Rashford, the situation is getting tense. Sources already confirmed before this case. Imagine now that 2025 could be the year for Man United and Marcus Rashford to part ways. January or summer, it will be based on proposals. As of today, Man United are not negotiating with any European club for Marcus Rashford. They already told you that his dream would be to move to Spain. He would love to play in La Liga, but at the moment, there are no contacts between La Liga clubs and Marcus Rashford. The feeling is that it would be complicated in January, also with the financial fair play for La Liga clubs to make it happen. Let's see around Europe what's going to happen. For sure, Rashford is going to wait. Man United are going to wait. There is interest from Saudi. From Saudi, they are very attentive to the situation of Marcus Rashford. He could be the perfect kind of player for them. Young, talented, big potential, big name, big star. He could be a perfect target from Saudi. That's why they are asking about the situation. But at the moment, the situation remains still open for Marcus Rashford, with a strong possibility for the English player to leave Manchester United between January and summer transfer window. So we will follow the situation. It was similar between Erik ten Hag and Jadon Sancho. We remember what happened at Manchester United between Sancho and the former coach Erik ten Hag. Now, Sancho is at Chelsea, 7 starts in Premier League, 8 starts in all competitions, so Sancho is playing a lot. Sancho is very happy with Enzo Maresca. At Chelsea, they are very happy. The management, the owners, the manager, the coaching staff, all very happy about the training sessions of Jadon Sancho, but also the attitude. He is in very good connection with his teammates. Very happy at Chelsea, playing very good. We can see that with our own eyes. So for sure, at Chelsea, they are enthusiastic with Jadon Sancho, who joined a long deal with an obligation to buy from Manchester United. But the price of the obligation to buy was based on performances, something between 20 and 25 million pounds. Now with Chelsea performances this season, it looks guaranteed that Chelsea will spend 25 million pounds as a final fee for Jadon Sancho, past covering his salary this season, and then he will sign a contract. He already signed the contract to be a Chelsea player in the future, as soon as Chelsea in summer 2025 will formally trigger the obligation to buy Jadon Sancho. And so everything's already guaranteed. The final fee will be 25 million pounds, with Chelsea more than happy to pay this money. They believe that Sancho is worth way more than this. They are very happy with the boy. They are very happy with the player. And so really enthusiastic about this one. To return on Manchester United, we always have many links. With Manchester United, one of the most linked players, not just with Manchester United, but with several clubs, is Ederson, the Atalanta midfielder, Brazilian player. I can guarantee to you that several clubs around Europe are monitoring Ederson. So it's not only Manchester United, for sure Manchester United like the player Ruben Amorim, who wants intensity. I told you several times. And when you think of intensity, Ederson is probably one of the most intense midfielders around Europe. He's running for 3 players. He's a top midfielder. But there is interest from Spain, from England, from several countries in Ederson. So not only Manchester United. And my information is that the January transfer window is going to be really complicated for any club to go there and convince Atalanta to sell Ederson. The feeling is that Ederson could leave in the summer, but for the January transfer window, it's going to be really complicated because the interest is there from United. And not only, Manchester United sent their scouts several times to follow Ederson. Liverpool did the same last summer already, last season several times. And they keep following the player, but it's the same for Spanish clubs and more players around Europe. So Ederson has many fans around Europe. But again, Atalanta had no intention to sell the player in January. Atalanta are doing great in Serie A, great in Champions League. And so it's going to be tough. It has to be a crazy proposal, but completely crazy in January. Something like 50 or 55 million euros is not enough. So forget about that to sign the player in January. In the summer, it could be different. But crazy proposal for January or nothing. The absolute feeling is that Atalanta will be able to keep Ederson. Many questions on Ryan Cherki. I told you already in the summer, but I keep repeating now, Paris Saint-Germain because of some relationships. Let's say like this, with parties involved in the story, PSG will not go for Cherki in January. At least this is the feeling today. Could change tomorrow, we will see. But as of today, PSG insists that they will not sign Ryan Cherki in the January transfer window from Olympique Lyon. On Liverpool, are there concrete negotiations as of today? Is not something that advanced. Interest? Yes. Liverpool know the player very well. Liverpool are monitoring the player in the sense that they are sending their scouts to see the progress of Ryan Cherki. We all know the big talent of the player, but Liverpool want to see consistency in a player. And so that's why they are constantly monitoring Cherki. There is interest also from other clubs, and so will be for sure an interesting one to watch in 2025. Ryan Cherki. Let's see if Liverpool will decide to attack other clubs. At the moment, again, no club-to-club negotiation yet between Liverpool and Olympique Lyon for Ryan Cherki. Let us read from you your thoughts on all these stories from Marcus Rashford. Where should he go? What's your feeling on that? Jadon Sancho in Chelsea, £25 million. What do you think about this fee? And then Edson Cherki, I wait for your opinion. Hit in comments, like this video, turn on the notification bell, subscribe to the channel. See you soon. Campaign almost wrapped up. 1 Hour Sports is on hand to run through the new arrivals who have made the biggest impact. 1 Hour Sports has ranked the 10 best signings of the 2024/25 campaign so far, and it's full of surprising names. The question is, who has come out on top? Let's get to it. At number 10, Iliman Ndiaye, £15 million. Everton's decision to sign former Sheffield United star Iliman Ndiaye from Marseille is already paying off, with the 24-year-old looking right at home in English football once again. Ndiaye was electrifying in the Championship for the Blades and has been similarly influential in the Premier League, albeit without scoring as many goals. The Senegal international only has 2 to his name from 15 appearances for Everton so far, which is mainly because Sean Dyche has predominantly used him on the left wing instead of as a no 10. Despite that, he's still managed to become an instant fan favourite. Ndiaye drags the Toffees up the pitch at every opportunity, always showing impeccable balance and control despite carrying the ball at great speed, with former Everton defender Phil Jagielka recently comparing him to a futsal player. Number 9, AS Leah Veronico. Number 14, Manchester City. Manuel Petania, Manuel Chassad, and Leah Veronico, Manuel Penelpit, Neil Kettle, Dash Kapal, 1+22 and then a million ounces. The number 9, Jorginho Rutter in the team off the ball. Everton have admirably recovered from a poor start to this season, and with Ndiaye giving them an X-factor in the final third, DA routine really should be aiming for a top-work finish. Number 9, Jorginho Rutter, 50. Things smashed their transfer record to sign Jorginho Rutter from Leeds, with head coach Fabian Herzler describing him as a forward with the capabilities to get fans off their seats. He has so far lived up to that billing, striking up a strong understanding with Danny Welbeck and João Pedro that has reaped great rewards for the Seagulls as they have emerged as contenders for European qualification. Rutter has only scored twice and laid on 3 assists, but he's been a constant menace with his mesmerizing dribbling and incisive passing, and has also been crucial to Brighton's counter-press. He's a guy who doesn't need goals to believe in himself, and I think he has had a great impact, Hertzler said in October. Rutter has brought versatility to the Seagulls' attack, and at just 22 years of age, there is still so much more to come from the Frenchman. 8. Maxence Lacroix, Crystal Palace. £15 million. Palace endured a nightmare start to the campaign after losing a host of key players, including Michael Olise, Joachim Andersen, and Jordan Ayew. It took a while for their new signings to adapt, including Andersen replacement Maxence Lacroix, who was one of the standout centre-backs in the Bundesliga last season at Wolfsburg. Lacroix is now starting to make a similar impact in the Premier League, though playing in the heart of a 3-man defence alongside Marc Guéhi and Trevor Chalobah. Saturday's 5-1 home defeat to Arsenal was a major setback for the Eagles, but they'd only lost 1 of their previous 9 games across all competitions, with Lacroix even pitching in with a thrilling 2-2 draw with Manchester City. The Frenchman is among the fastest players in the league, which makes him almost impossible to dribble past, has a high footballing IQ, and rarely misplaces a pass. Lacroix has claimed that teams fear playing Palace despite their low position in the table, and it's hard to argue. Emmanuel Le Pebloues, his commanding presence alone makes Oliver Glasner's side formidable opponents, and they should comfortably avoid the drop if he keeps improving at such a rapid rate. At number 7, Jadon Sancho, Chelsea, loan. Jadon Sancho is one of the worst signings in Manchester United's history, which was confirmed when Chelsea signed the winger on loan with an obligation to buy at the end of August. United paid £73 million to sign Sancho from Borussia Dortmund in 2021, and he never came close to justifying that fee, failing to even earn a regular place in the starting 11, amid a series of fallouts with the club's former manager Erik ten Hag. But there has never been any doubt over his talent. A confident Sancho can be a major asset for any team, which he proved by playing a vital role in Dortmund's run to the Champions League final after returning to the club on loan last season. He has continued in a similar vein at Stamford Bridge, recording 5 goal contributions in 11 Premier League appearances. Sancho has been in and out of the team under Enzo Maresco due to the huge strength and depth Chelsea have in attack, but he's looked back to his dazzling best when he has played, most notably in a thrilling 4-3 win at Tottenham that saw him run Pedro Porro ragged and could earn a recall to the England squad if he continues on his current trajectory. 6. Facundo Buonanotte Bernard. Buonanotte made his senior debut for reigning world champions Argentina in June last year, aged just 18, and went on to appear in 36 games across all competitions for Brighton in 2023/24. It was something of a surprise then when the Seagulls loaned Buonanotte to newly promoted Leicester City in August, but the deal was accompanied by a new contract that ties the teenager to the Amex Stadium until 2028. It may have been a risk, but Brighton wanted to accelerate Buonanotte's development at a club where he is guaranteed to start almost every game, and it's already paying off. The former Rosario central midfielder has scored 4 goals, including a brilliant solo winner against Bournemouth, and laid on 2 assists in his first 14 Premier League outings for the Foxes. Buonanotte has provided a touch of class going forward that could be the difference between Leicester staying up or going down. He's a risk-taker with an elegant left foot, who carries the ball with confidence and opens up defences with his passing range. If the Argentine ace continues to shine in the second half of the season, Brighton could be fielding offers from top clubs across Europe for his services next summer. By Liam Delapé, Ipswich Town. 20 million. Liam Delapé never got the chance to prove himself at Manchester City, which is a great shame. After graduating from their academy in 2020, the English forwards was restricted to just 6 senior appearances under Pep Guardiola and understandably sought a way out of the Etihad Stadium in the summer, with Ipswich jumping at the chance to hand him a 5-year deal. The Tractor Boys have found life back in the Premier League tough, as most fans expected, but they still have a chance of survival because they have a deadly weapon up front in Delap. The 21-year-old has hit a respectable 6 goals in 16 games for Ipswich so far in 2024/25, including a superb brace in a 2-2 draw with Aston Villa, leading former Liverpool midfielder Danny Murphy to tell BBC's Match of the Day 2 that the youngster is the obvious long-term successor to Harry Kane for England. Delap, son of former Stoke City midfielder Rory, certainly has the physical and technical attributes to reach the very top, along with a natural eye for goal. He's been essentially serving as a one-man battering ram for Ipswich, and City may just be regretting letting him go amid their current crisis. Fourth place is Noussair Mezraoui, Man United, £13 million. Manchester United are destined to be in the bottom half of the Premier League table at Christmas for the first time in their history. New head coach Ruben Amorim is slowly bringing a new identity to the squad, but United are still paying for Sir Jim Ratcliffe's decision to overstay Erik ten Hag's welcome, and there will no doubt be more misery to come between now and May. But Ten Hag did get one thing right. Noussair Mezraoui has been one of the few bright sparks for United since his arrival from Bayern Munich, delivering consistently solid performances despite being asked to play in several different positions. He knows how to attack, he's very technical, he's very good defensively, and he's very good one-on-one, Amorim said at the start of the month. He's a modern player. I think he's the future of our team. Amorim could well be right. Amorim was second signed in spite of found a home at Old Trafford after 2 frustrating years with Bayern. The Moroccan is setting the standard in a poor United team, and there is reason for optimism if the rest of the squad follows his example in the second half of the season. 3. Sander Berge, £450 million. Losing João Palhinha to Bayern Munich in the summer felt like a devastating blow for Fulham, who turned to Sander Berge to fill the boots of a man who had established himself among the Premier League's best defensive midfielders in his 2 seasons at Craven Cottage. Berge was part of the Burnley squad that suffered relegation in 2023/24 too, so understandably there wasn't much excitement amongst the Fulham base when the 26-year-old put pen to paper on a 5-year contract in August. But Berge has exceeded all expectations. Fulham actually looked like a much better team with Berge, and their position of 9th in the table reflects that. According to Data MB, no midfielder has a higher win rate for duels than Berge in the Premier League this term, and his ability to break up play in the middle of the park has been vital to Fulham's improvement. The 26-year-old also kickstarts a lot of attacks for Marco Silva's side, bursting through the lines elegantly while always picking the right pass. The physically imposing midfielder is proving himself as a master technician who covers every blade of grass, and is the driving force behind Fulham's surprise push for the European spots. Berge did, however, limp out of Fulham's draw with Southampton due to an ankle injury, which Silva will be praying doesn't keep him out for too long. Number 2. Elliot Anderson, Nottingham Forest, £35 million. This is different for us. 35 millions. I'd come here to work as hard as anyone. Newcastle were forced to sell Elliot Anderson to Forest so they could comply with the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules, PSR. A decision that did not sit well with Eddie Howe. The Newcastle boss probably feels even worse now, having seen the 22-year-old take his game to remarkable new heights at the City ground this season. He is an amazing talent for such a young player, Forest boss Nuno Espirito Santo told Sky Sports in November. Knows he is good but wants to be better. That is the first step. We are delighted to have him. I think it was a very good deal. That last line is an understatement, considering Anderson's price has probably doubled since the summer. Anderson can play infield or out wide, and Nuno has put his versatility to great use, as Forest have transformed from relegation strugglers into Champions League contenders. The England under-21 international is a progressive dribbler who can open up defenses in an instant with his exceptional passing range, hence his haul of 5 assists from 16 league games in a Forest shirt. Anderson only needs to add goals to his game to become a complete all-rounder, and senior England recognition could well fellow for the supremely talented youngster. 1. Nikola Milankovic, Nottingham Forest. £12 million. Milankovic is not just the best signing of the 2024/25 Premier League season so far. He's one of the best in the competition's entire history, certainly in terms of value for money. Moving to the City ground from Fiorentina on the back of a stellar Euro 2023 campaign with Serbia, Milankovic has since forged a rock-solid partnership with Murillo in the heart of the Forest defence that has shut down a host of the division's most deadly strikers. Forest posted the 5th worst defensive record in the English top flight last term, with set pieces in particular a real weakness, but the 6'4" Milankovic has completely solved those issues. Nuno's side have conceded just 19 goals in 17 games this time around. Only Liverpool and Arsenal have shipped fewer, with Milankovic cutting out the danger at every turn, both on the ground and in the air. Milenkovic is strong, fast, composed, and reads the game brilliantly. The 27-year-old is also a huge threat in the opposing box, having chipped in with 2 goals already for Forest, who have a real shot of staying in the hunt for a top 4 finish because of his presence alone. Milenkovic has been nothing short of colossal, and his success makes you wonder why the likes of Manchester United and Tottenham didn't move for him a few years ago when they were linked with his signature. Thanks for watching, and do well to leave us your comments. Amorim to turn around Manchester United's fortunes, insisting the Storm will finish at Old Trafford. Speaking at the Globe Soccer Awards, Ronaldo said this. He, referring to Amorim, did a fantastic job in Portugal with Sporting, but the Premier League is a different beast, the most competitive league in the world. I knew that it would be tough and they will continue the storm, but the storm will finish and the sun will rise. Fingers crossed it will be good with him, and I hope the best for Manchester United because it is a club I still love. I said this 1.5 years ago and I will continue to say it. The problem is not the coaches. It's like the aquarium and you have the fish inside and it's sick, and you take him out and fix the problem. You still with me? Bear with me. If you put it back in the aquarium, it will be sick again. This is the problem of Manchester United. It is the same. That's kind of Cantona-esque with his fishing thing that he did. Yes. Okay, I'm going to reread that. Take the fish outside the aquarium and then you put it back. So long as you don't put it, you need to put it inside. New aquarium, absolutely. Don't leave it out on the side because it's definitely not going to be right when it goes back in, that's clear. Yeah, okay, thank you. And of course, it's massive congratulations to Vitor Pereira. But I want to start by asking you about the Bruno Fernandes sending off and the change that made at 0-0. It made all the difference to the game. The game was pretty even before that. We talked about that at half-time. That's 3 reds this year, though one was rescinded, I think, after Tottenham. That's really bad, really unprofessional. You know, as a captain of the football club, not even being a captain, for any player to do that is inexcusable. If you can't control your emotions, and we've seen this before from Bruno Fernandes, and I've been one of his biggest fans, and I know he's a little bit like that, but he's a brilliant player. Today, I don't know, I just felt that was a really bad example of petulance, unnecessary torture. We're going to take a look at him in the highlights, but 2 over-aggressive challenges in the referee's face, 2 yellow cards. You've absolutely cost your team and your club everything today. Having said that, they barely had a look with him or without him. They didn't, but it's disappointing for us. Rebecca, it must be even more disappointing for Ruben Amorim that he doesn't quite know this team. And it's another 90 minutes when we haven't learned anything because they've got it down to 10 men and they've had to struggle to sustain a game, but there's no creativity. I said at halftime, I wasn't sure they were particularly playing the ball and building as well as maybe must be thought. We've had no real shots or danger at goal. And the really funny thing is, last week all the news was about my Simpler station at the football club in a leaky ceiling in the press room. Those are things you can deal with, get somebody in. I tell you, the problems they've got on the pitch, that's a bigger job and a lot more serious trouble for Ruben Amorim to sort out. Big job, you'd have to say, for Wolverhampton Wanderers' new manager Vitor Pereira, making light work. Absolutely amazing. I bet he's loving it. He's like, this is great. This league. Back-to-back wins in a very difficult situation. Remember a few weeks ago, Nolan, we saw the players fighting and Cunha, the scenes and the manager. The whole vibe has changed, and that's what a new manager can sometimes do. The structure was good. The football was good. I think he's doing what he's saying. He's trying to play expansive football. Got a big help today, though, with an extra man at home. When there's a good vibe about this first game where they won, that makes all the difference. They're at the bottom 3. Feel-good factor is back in Molineux. That was good work from Pereira. 2 wins out of 2. The epitome of a new manager bounce happening at Molineux. Sports Table. We're discussing the fall of Man City and Pep Guardiola. Is the woes of City a tactical stubbornness or fatigue? Guardiola's tactical genius has never been questioned, until now. Known for his meticulous approach to every detail, Pep has often tinkered with his formations and playing styles to stay ahead of the curve. However, his adaptability may have hit its limit this season. Over-reliance on tactical perfection. Pep's insistence on positional play and intricate passing triangles requires players to operate at peak mental and physical capacity. After years of playing this way, it's plausible that the team is suffering from tactical fatigue, with players struggling to maintain the intensity required for Guardiola's system. Opponents may have finally cracked the City code. Aston Villa's victory is a perfect example of how teams are now compacting their defense, disrupting City's rhythm, and exploiting their high defensive line on counter-attacks. Pep's refusal to switch to a more pragmatic style could be costing his side points. Could it be squad depth or overhaul issues? While injuries to key players like Rodri are often cited as reasons for City's struggles, blaming the absence of one player in such a deep squad feels overly simplistic. The cracks might be deeper than they appear. Aging core, the backbone of City's dominance, players like Kevin De Bruyne, now 34, and others, are either aging or less consistent. Guardiola has been known to phase out older players, but this transition hasn't been seamless. New signings not firing. The high-pressure sides of players like Josko Gvardiol and Matheus Nunes haven't translated into instant impact. They lack the cohesion and chemistry of the established core, making City less effective in key moments. Lack of leadership is also seen in the City squad. With veterans like İlkay Gundogan back in the team, City still misses a true leader. The team seems to lack a leader who can rally the players during tough times. While Rodri is a natural on-field leader, his absence has exposed the lack of alternatives in this department. Another interesting point to consider is the Guardiola burnout cycle. Guardiola's teams, be it Barcelona or Bayern Munich, have often shown signs of burnout in his later years. His intense management style, coupled with the mental toll of constant success, may be weighing heavily on both him and the squad. Are we witnessing the end of an era? 2. Is Erling Haaland hurting the system? While Haaland's goal-scoring exploits last season were record-breaking, critics have suggested that his style of play forces City into a more predictable attacking pattern. His lack of involvement in build-up play might be making City easier to defend against. 3. Off-field distractions. There's speculation about unresolved issues within the club hierarchy. Could Guardiola's rumored dissatisfaction with the club's transfer dealings or ongoing Premier League investigations into City's financial dealings be seeping into the dressing room? There are broader issues beyond tactics and personnel, issues such as mental complacency. After achieving the treble last season, the hunger to push for more success may have diminished. The intensity required to maintain such dominance is mentally exhausting, and even the best players can lose their edge. They are not Manchester United under Sir Alex Ferguson. Secondly, evolving Premier League dynamics. Rivals like Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, and Newcastle United have significantly improved, closing the gap on City. These teams are now capable of going toe-to-toe with City, unlike in previous seasons. Thirdly, midfield crisis. Without Rodri, City's midfield appears disjointed. However, the issue goes beyond him. Players like Dias haven't stepped up, and Pep's lack of faith in certain squad members might be creating further instability. In the Champions League, City hasn't looked as dominant, often scraping through matches rather than asserting their usual authority. While, in the Premier League, 6th defeat already. Defeats to teams like Aston Villa and Crystal Palace reflect a team struggling to break down well-organised defences. As it's in the domestic cups, early exits or unconvincing performances highlight a lack of depth and consistency. The road ahead for Guardiola and City. Guardiola must find a way to motivate his players, reminding them that past success is no guarantee for the future. Reinforce in January. A new midfielder or winger could provide the spark needed to rejuvenate the squad. Perhaps a shift to a more pragmatic or unpredictable setup could keep opponents guessing and help City regain their dominance. And, just maybe, identifying new leaders within the squad is crucial. Guardiola also needs to ensure his own commitment doesn't waver. Manchester City's struggles in the 2024-25 season are emblematic of the challenges faced by every great team. Staying at the top is harder than getting there, according to the legendary Manchester United manager, Sir Alex Ferguson. Whether it's tactical fatigue, an aging core, or deeper off-field issues, Pep Guardiola faces arguably his toughest test as City manager. The coming months will reveal whether this is merely a blip or the beginning of the end for City's golden era. Will Guardiola evolve, or will City's dominance finally falter? That is the question everyone is asking. For now, All eyes are on Pep and his players to deliver a response worthy of champions. Our sports, where we will be reporting Jamie Carragher's comment about the situation of Marcus Rashford at Manchester United. Good to see you, Jamie. We've got to start with the champions. They've swept everything before them for a number of years. All of a sudden, they can't win a game. After the game, Pep says, "I'm not good enough." What did you think when you heard that? I think over the last couple of months, he's probably right. But we all know he is, one of, if not the greatest, manager of all time. And every time you watch Man City, you feel like this will be the moment when they get back to what we've seen in the past. And you feel at some stage that it can't get any worse. And it feels like it does. I think that final game, and then at least that was a draw. I mean, it wasn't a great game yesterday. I think we should say that even if City would have won that game 1-1-0, as it looked like it was going to happen, I think we'd have still been coming here today just saying City are not right. That win doesn't mask what we've just seen in these last few weeks or what we saw yesterday. But to lose the way they did towards the end of the game, great drama, great for us. But no, I think psychologically, it's another massive draw. It's going to be tough to come back from it. Can you see any signs of a fix? No, the only way you fix this, and this is what I felt 2 or 3 weeks ago, is the January transfer market. They've just got so many players of a certain age in the same position, and signings that they've made over the last 12, 24 months have not been good enough. And when you're asking them now to step up, they're not at the level that's needed. I think of probably Nunes, Doku, who've come in. You think of course, a Calvin Phillips, who was brought in a couple of years ago as well. Silvinho's come in. I think the stars and the legends of Manchester City, you think of De Bruyne, you think of Silva, you think of Rodri being out. They need help, and the players who are coming out can't provide it right now. Yeah, really different feel on the other side of Manchester, of course. Ruben Amorim made a really, really big decision beforehand, didn't he? Rashford and Garnacho out of the matchday squad. How significant do you think that was and will be? It's significant in that I think early on, we see this with most managers who come in. You want to send a message to the squad about the standards of the football club. I think in some ways it feels a bigger decision than it actually is because it looks like a big message. He's left Marcus Rashford out. I mean, is Marcus Rashford in the best 11, really? How good is he? We're not talking about a world-renowned superstar here. I actually think we talk about Marcus Rashford too much, if I'm being totally honest. He's a good player. He's not a great player. He's been a really good player for Manchester United. It is time for him to leave the club. But whether there'll be any takers with the wages the lad's on and things like that, who knows? Whether it's Jennifer, I just think a parting of the ways is inevitable at some stage. And I think for Manchester United and Rashford, the quicker that comes, the better. Do you like the look of Amorim? Yeah. Just because, listen, you take a liking or a dislike sometimes to say it in managers, the way they come across in interviews or something they say, or maybe how they react after wins or defeats. We're all scrutinizing managers. That's why it's such a tough job. I really like the cut of his job. He comes in and he speaks well. But listen, it's all about results. And I think that was a big one for him. Because I think when a new manager comes in, no one's expecting Man United to win every week. We know they're not good enough. But I think when you bring a new manager in, you want them to see a couple of big wins against good opposition and a top manager in Pep. And he's beat Pep now twice in maybe a month or so. So it shows he's obviously got the ingredients to be a top manager. But there's so much competition in the Premier League. But I think over the next 18 months, we'll probably give him an easy rag. Because we know there's a lot to turn around at that football club. But that was a big one to build belief with his own players and supporters in his methods. Well, it looks like Liverpool have got a good one in Arnslot. A good result for them at the weekend, considering everything. Do they enjoy, do you think, being front runners in the Premier League? I'm not sure, to be honest. I think they'd rather be there than be in the position of Chelsea or Arsenal today because of the event. So yeah, I guess a bit too late for that. They've dropped 4 points in the last couple of games. But we keep talking about teams having a bad patch. Now, dropping points is a bad patch, if you like. But I still think there's enough in those games not to get overly worried about Liverpool. They still scored 3 away at Newcastle, lose the game, or they get a point at the last minute of the game because of a mistake by the goalkeeper. And yesterday, or certainly on Saturday, someone getting a red card, you can't legislate for that. But that'll happen to every team throughout the season. But the way they came back, even though they dropped 2 points, I think Slot and his coaching staff this morning will be thinking, yeah, we're disappointed with the result, but we can take a lot from that game and we can use it going forward, because there's going to be a lot more setbacks between now and the end of the season for all the top teams, and how you react to them. And I think Liverpool reacted really well. At the weekend, they did. Do they look like champions to you? I think watching that game, I felt like I was watching a champion team. That's what they would do in a situation like that. And if Liverpool could have won that game, I think psychologically what that would have done to Arsenal, City, or Chelsea as well. But I think with the situation they found themselves in, to get a point out of that, that was a really good point. And that's what champions do. When you think they're going to lose a game, you find a way of either getting a point or winning it. Point for Arsenal. I don't think they'll be as happy with their point as Liverpool. What do you make of Arsenal? Because they didn't capitalize on Liverpool. They didn't score a goal. Do they have to go in the market in January and get themselves a striker? I don't necessarily think it's a striker as such. I think it's an attacking player. For me, I think when you see this lad here, Saka on the right side, and then you see what Arsenal have on the left side, it's like chalk and cheese. Now, Martinelli and Saka 2 or 3 years ago were almost at a similar level, and Saka's just jumped up to be one of the best players in European football in his position. And Martinelli, unfortunately for him, hasn't joined them. And I've always felt in these last 2 years, and even at the start of this season, I thought City would win the league. But the reason I've never really gone for Arsenal is because I always feel they're a world-class attacker short, not necessarily the guy through the middle. But there's something just, when I think of what the other teams have, you think of the forwards Chelsea have, you think of the forwards Man City have, you think of the forwards Liverpool have. Arsenal haven't got that quality.